Am I the bad guy for telling my mill that she's not going to be in the room when I give birth? Before I begin, I need to clarify that I'm a trans man. I was a fab but transitioned about 5 years ago. I, 30M, am 38 weeks pregnant with my husband James, 33M, first child. We had talked about children before I transitioned, and we both said we wanted them. After I transitioned, he asked me if I would be okay with carrying our child, and if I'm not, we could look into other options. I told him I still wanted to carry our child as I always wanted to experience it. I haven't started T or gotten surgery because I wanted to wait until I had kids. I didn't mind waiting either. I feel somewhat okay in my body, and whenever I do feel dysphoric, my husband is always there to help me. When I transitioned, James was and is still very supportive. However, his family did not take it well. They continue to call me by my dead name, along with the wrong pronouns. Whenever James or I correct them, they bring up the fact that I don't have the right parts, and I don't look or sound like a man either. It upset me initially as I had been very close with his family, but now I've gotten used to it and do my best to ignore it. James, however, can't get past it, and when someone says something, he ends up arguing with them. When we told his family that I was pregnant, they were all excited, as this was the first baby born into the family. My mill especially was very excited and began telling me about different things I needed to do to keep the baby healthy. As the months passed, I kept hearing comments about me being a mom, even though I made it clear that I wanted the baby to call me Papa or Dad. I've been told that I can't have a silly surgery to remove my breasts because I need them to feed my baby. Also, they're glad I came to my senses about pretending to be a man. We found out we were having a little boy, and almost instantly, we picked a name for him. We both love anything to do with space, and we wanted our firstborn to have a space-related name. So we decided that our little boy would be called Leo, after the constellation. My mill wasn't happy with that name and started calling him Isaac. James and I corrected her numerous times, telling her it wasn't our son's name, but she wouldn't listen. She got a blanket, a few onesies, and a teddy bear with the name Isaac engraved on them. She told us that when we see him, we'll know that she was right, and we'll name him Isaac. We decided to do a hospital birth, and my mill demanded that she be in the room so she could see her first grandchild being born. Neither James nor I want her there. We want it to be a special moment with just the two of us. She wouldn't take no for an answer. Last week, we were at their house for dinner, and she began bragging to the rest of the family that she would be there when I had the baby. James snapped and told her she wasn't going to be there, especially with how she treated me over the past few years with my transition. She got upset and yelled at him about this being an important moment for her, but James wasn't having it, and they both got into a pretty heated argument. I had enough and told her to F off and take no for an answer, or she wasn't going to ever see her grandson. She started crying, and I received multiple glares from the rest of the family. James and I left, and neither of us spoke during the ride home, but when he got home, he said he was sorry for how he acted and didn't mean to upset me. I told him it wasn't his fault, and he had every right to say something. We spent the night cuddled in bed, watching TV and feeling our son kick. In the last few days, I've received numerous messages from people telling me that I shouldn't have threatened my mill, that I had no right to do that, and that I should apologize. I've even gotten messages from some of our friends who heard the story from James' sisters. I replied, saying that she needed to apologize for overstepping and not listening to a word James or I had said. The responses to that weren't kind, and I haven't replied. I keep being bombarded with messages, and now James's as well. Did we go too far? Should we apologize for how we handled the situation? James says no, but I don't know what to do. So am I the bad guy? Update. I want to start by saying thank you for the support. It meant a lot. Okay, so James went over to his parents a couple of days after my post to pick up some things. I don't know what they talked about, but when he came home, he was pissed and told me that we were never going to see them again. I didn't argue with him, but later that night, I asked him what happened, and all he said was, "I can't believe those people are related to me." I didn't ask anything else and just hugged him tightly. A few days later, I went into labor. James and I didn't tell anyone, and we spent the next 34 hours together. And when our beautiful baby boy made his appearance, it was just us, just like we wanted, and it was amazing. I was able to go home 2 days after I gave birth, and when we arrived home, we found James' family in our living room. We never gave any of them a key to our house. The only people to have keys are me and James. James was furious and started telling them to leave, but they refused to go. They tried to see Leo, but James pulled the cover on the baby carrier down, which blocked their view of him. They started yelling, demanding that we show them Leo. James' mom called Leo Isaac again and said it was her right to see him as his grandmother. James handed the carrier to me and told me to go to the bedroom with Leo. I didn't hesitate and left the room. I heard shouting coming from both James and his family. James threatened them by saying he'd call the cops if they didn't go, and that got them to shut up. About 15 minutes later, I heard the front door open and close, and James came upstairs. When he stepped into the bedroom, he just broke down. He collapsed onto the ground and sobbed. My heart broke, and I hurried over to him and held him in my arms. He kept apologizing to me over and over, and when I said it was okay, and we'd figure something out, he just kept saying no and apologizing again. When he calmed himself down, he told me he just wanted his family to be happy for him, to love him, and to respect him. He kept thinking of what he did wrong to make them feel this way, and the longer he did that, he began to get upset again. I stopped him and firmly told him that he didn't need them, that his family was right here, that me and Leo aren't going anywhere and will always love him. We spent the rest of the day in bed talking about what to do, with Leo between us. Since that day, we've been in contact with the police, and they've been so helpful and kind about our situation. It's been hard on James, but he knows we shouldn't contact them anymore. We hope this will be done soon, and we can put it behind us and focus on the future. But for now, we're enjoying being a family of 3 and doting on our little boy every chance we get.